Welcome to Dynamics of Dialogue, and this is your host, Rebel Queen, and I am here today with Keisha Perry of Beautiful Ones.
Hello.
And Keisha Weidman Smith of Hope Health and Wellness RCO Recovery Community Organization.
Yes.
I know I can't abbreviate because everybody doesn't know what RCO means.
Yes.
So we are back in the house today for part 2 of Sister Circle Sunday. I hope you enjoyed last week. Today we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about sex, which we've been talking about already this morning.
Yes.
Love and relationships, and basically how we find ourselves in that space and how we care for ourselves, how we get what we want, right, out of life. Because I think a lot of times, we talked about last week, lots of women, we get wrapped up into our relationships, our families, our children, our jobs, everybody but ourselves.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and would you ladies like to just kind of bring us back up to speed real quick with examples of, because I know both of y'all are married, and I know you got the good one, because you were talking about how you got rid of the whole house.
Yes. Sometimes you have to do what's best for you, your mental mindset. So I literally told my children they had to go. They were grown and they had to go. So sometimes you got to do what's best for you.
I know, but isn't it so hard? You know, sometimes if you know that, particularly if you see them struggling, like, because you know my baby, right, from time he was little.
Yeah.
And so I think about, gosh, he's, from this and all these little struggles that he's had.
But
and how do you?
sometimes I think we had to struggle and we had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if we constantly allow them and just do for them, when do they finally figure it out? So sometimes they need a little push.
Yeah.
And that push actually helps.
There's lesson in the struggle. And at some point in time, there will be a separation, whether it be where you have transitioned or maybe, they've decided to take a different pathway, and they will need to have the experience of figuring it out for themselves.
Exactly.
Yep. And why not practice that now?
Right.
At least, especially when we're raising them and even as young adults, because I think we all have young adults.
Exactly.
Now is a good time to practice that. It doesn't mean that you stop parenting.
Right.
For me, it just means that at this point, I'm now cultivating you.
Exactly.
Not parenting, but I'm cultivating you.
Yeah.
So it's still a safe space to do that.
I remember
I like
my
that.
mom had told me, which makes sense, if I died today, where would my children be?
Yes.
That's
And
right.
if they don't know
She's a wise woman.
Right.
How to take care of themselves.
It's so
really
simple.
Gonna be messed up.
It is, and it's so simple,
That's
and and I'm so glad. So see, today I'll be the example. I'm gonna use transparency on my part, because I feel like if I died today, I mean, my son, he's a survivor. He I know it may seem silly, but what resonated to me was from that scene in the movie Black Panther,
Right.
when the father mentioned
Right.
about preparing that's your job. I have to prepare you to sustain yourself when I'm not here.
So true.
Right.
Yeah. That's so good. So let me ask you, so for me, I've only been an empty nester for a couple of months now. So what did that journey look like for you? As you started making the separation and decided, okay, what I need. First of all, what was it that made both of you say, what I need is more important? I've got to structure my life so that my needs can be met. What was it that brought you to that place?
I think for me, I felt I was drowning. I was really taking on all the burdens of what the grown children were going through. And it just started smothering me. And I just had a aha moment, as you could say. You know what I mean? And I just, mine was drastic. Like, I kind of had a breaking point, flipped out, and literally put everyone out immediately. So that and I was okay with it, and it was a process, because it was anger. I was angry, they were angry. No one spoke to each other for a couple of months, but God brought it all back together.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He really did. And
He
I
restored
thank
and
God
repaired.
for that. He did. He did. Because it wasn't that I didn't love them. I loved them enough to say, "Hey, it's time for y'all, right, to make it on your own.
You got to fly.
And I promise you, by doing that, even with all the anger, not speaking for months, and it hurt. That stuff hurts. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're doing well. My daughter, oh my God.
They're succeeding.
She's doing great. So I know it was necessary.
Yes.
It was necessary.
Well, I'm telling you, all of that is just, it's healing to me. And I just kind of want to bring you back to the little piece of the conversation we had this morning before we started. And so just remember that when you send your baby across the country, that your kids, I'm watching them. I haven't seen them since they were little,
right,
but I'm watching them on Facebook now as adults, and I'm like, these kids have families, and they are handling, they're living their life, and they're doing it. They're doing it. And you did your job. You did it. And what about for you, Takesha?
Well, just listening to Keisha talk about a few things, I can relate. I'm not quite an empty nester. I still have a 15-year-old, but I have two older children, one that will be 22 this year, and I just had one that turned 19. One of the things I had to come to grips with is that my love should never be on trial. This has nothing to do with love. This has to do, or my lack of love for you or for them. This has really to do with the lack of love for myself. And that's what that stemmed from. And like her, I had a breaking point. And it seemed like the Creator was coming in and closing a whole lot of doors. And I kept ignoring him. But it was finally one door he closed, and he made sure my fingers were in the middle of it.
Ooh. Okay. Yes, that sounds like me too.
Right. He slammed it real good. That was an eye-opener for me. And it had a lot to do with my career, with work, the people who I was surrounding myself with, especially at work. It had consumed me. And it began to take away. You don't see it when it's happening, but it takes away with you in chunks, piece by piece. And in addition to that, not just with work, but with feeling responsible for things in my children's life that they could be doing, including my husband. So I had to surrender. I had to surrender because I could no longer go on. Like she said, I was stuck. I had stopped. My mind, my body, my soul, my spirit, everything about me had just came to a screeching halt. And I was in my bed for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks dealing with depression. And at this point, I was not eating. I was not sleeping. I was having these crying episodes. And it just got to be... That was the breaking point. It was too much. It was too much.
I remember that.
So it's all about being overwhelmed. I've had that, and that I can identify with that because as I've gone through experiences with my own son, I as I listen to you speak now, I can go back and specifically call out situations where I was owning some of the messes that he made, and the stress of it was just eating me up, and it even got to a place where I was having nightmares every night of being swept away in a wave. But it was in various ways. I mean, and I don't mean like a little Rudy Poot wave. I mean like 1,000-foot wave that just encompasses everything around me. And I realized that those were all signs of me being overwhelmed, and I was ignoring them.
And
so
with the relationship of that turns into your love relationship, your sex relationship. You get what I'm saying?
Right. And part of it for me, the victory, and I can speak specifically to that because I know for me, to feel like, okay, well, he's not ready yet, my son's not ready yet, so it's still okay for him to be here. But on the other hand, it did create problems in some love relationships because there's no man that wants to spend time with you and your grown son. He wants to spend time with you.
He's dating you, not your son.
With you. So I had to really come to grips with that and just get into a place. And really, it wasn't even my own choice. It wasn't even my own choice. I think it's like how you said, God slammed the door and made sure my fingers was in it. My fingers was in that mug this time for sure.
This whooping ain't no other whooping. Never compared to his whooping.
You know what? And I'm still grateful because I know that I didn't go to jail that night. I know I ain't getting there. Ain't nobody got carted off, and I'm grateful to the Creator for that. And I know that even though it may seem like, wow, these are hard times for me now, I can actually say it's it feels I'm living. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to say, but I'm living my best life,
Yeah.
because I'm manifesting now. I've come to now understand, because I now am not worried about any. I'm not to say I'm not worried about my son.
Right.
But right now my daily functioning is me.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And the dog,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm taking care of my needs,
Right.
and I'm doing what I want to do. And in that process, I've just started to uncover and unlock all of these things. And part of that is realizing, all of these years, I've put my family, my friends,
Yeah.
my child first.
Yeah.
I was constantly, well, what would happen if they need me? They need me. I was living under the principles of fear,
Right.
and I was manifesting that fear in my life. It was manifesting in the form of chaos.
Yeah.
Right.
Because my mind is not, I can't stay grounded. I can't stay rooted when I'm in that fearful place.
Well, you
and now
can't. It's a dysfunctional
it's
cycle.
a dysfunctional
And
cycle.
at some point in time,
Yes.
it gets disrupted either by death, either by
Yes.
something major happening.
Sickness.
Something
Yeah.
will disrupt that cycle, and it doesn't have to be something so negatively profound
That's
that
right.
it pulls you away.
That's right.
But it's unnatural to
That's
put
right.
everything and everybody else above you and first. So on last week we talked about Maslow hierarchy of needs.
That's right.
Your needs come first.
They have to.
Exactly.
And then when you start to put your own needs first and actually get in touch, that was the next part of it.
Yep.
It was going through, because part of this is I've had a life coach now, and that has been one of the most things. So that's one of the things I would say I would advise anybody. I think all of us would agree, if you are, struggling,
Yes.
aside, because lots of
Please.
us have a thing about going to therapy.
Yeah.
A lot, I follow the blog Therapy for Black Girls, and I love
Right.
it. And
Right.
I have a therapist,
Right.
but I
Right.
feel like anything I can get, I'm eating it up.
Right.
Right.
A life coach. A life coach is
Wonderful.
because
It's a great
different
filter.
It's a great
for-
filter,
for
and it
me,
helps you
yeah.
with your perspective.
Exactly.
And it helps, at some point in time, you have to filter and not just fact checks, but filter your own thoughts through a trusted, maybe third party source.
Mhm.
Right.
And for me, the person that I see is a life coach and a psychologist.
Ooh.
So every 2-3 weeks, I will just go sit in, and check in and sit with her. Hey, this is what I'm experiencing. Here's where I am. And it is not someone telling me what I should
Right.
do, but we're able to have dialogue. So I can figure things out for myself.
Yeah.
But it's a great filter. And really, that's a part of self-care. I know we're going to get to that, but that should be a routine part of self-care.
It should be, and that's part of it. One of my sorority sisters, a couple of months ago, she said, "You know what? Part of that breaking that rut. I'm tired. I went from getting up in the morning. Oh my God, I've got to do all of this. I've got to make this happen for this person. I got to feed the dog, take the dog. I got to run here for the.
So you woke up taking care of everybody.
Everybody else,
but yourself.
but one thing she said is your self-care routine. Start your day out with. So in the morning now, when I get up, first thing I do is I moisturize. I wash my face.
Yeah.
I cleanse it and I moisturize it.
Yeah.
I take my time. I really take time and I pay attention to me. I started using crystals.
Okay.
This is a chakra bracelet. Thank you. It's got all the different chakra stones, and each of these stones carry a different kind of energy. This is hematite and agate. I think this is the red agate. But I've started doing all of these things to really get in tune with myself and to learn how to listen to my inner voice. Because I think that the idea that we as women, we breeze through the day with a full task list.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we are so focused on that we've stopped listening to the inner voice
Right.
about what we want, what we
Right.
really want,
Mm-hmm.
and how we really feel.
We're no longer in alignment.
And that becomes the center. That becomes the issue for your unhappiness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So getting to a place where we could pause it right there. Door. 10 o'clock. We started at 10. We were supposed to start at 10, remember?
Oops. It was, yeah. Well, but then I got the text. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll edit the video. Steps in the back. The bag that you need is the pink and orange bag is like right over here somewhere or in the bed. Okay. So back. So crystals. So I started using crystals. I started being intentional. That's another thing I picked up, right? As being intentional about what I wanted.
Right.
And once I decided, okay, I'm not just going to hope, wish,
Right.
pray to God for what I want.
Right.
And if we just want to take this out of the lens, right? Because people say, well, I don't believe in that stuff. I'm a Christian. Okay, well, if you're a Christian, then you believe that you're made in God's image, right?
Right.
The Bible says that you're little gods,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So then that means that, and if the power, right? If we have the ability to manifest
Right.
through our speech, then it's still a no-brainer. It's
Right.
something that you learn to do. You're just not practicing it
Right.
because you weren't taught that you innately have the ability to manifest things for yourself.
Keywords,
Can you-
do. Like you
Yeah.
said, do.
Mm-hmm.
Can
How
you
to speak it.
imagine if this was taught to us years ago?
What?
And I think this is the problem.
In childhood,
Yeah.
early childhood.
Exactly.
What?
Yep.
Self-care from years ago.
Yep.
It seems like, it's taken us to get to this age to realize self-care should have been on the top of the list.
Should have been first and foremost.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And we repeat often what we witness our parents
Yes.
do.
Right.
And how they behave and how they respond, whether it be with marriages or raising kids or any other relationships. That's exactly what we do. But I think it would have been very impactful and powerful empowering for me as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, if I had received this much early on.
Right.
Much early on in life. So I feel more than obligated, I think we all do, to break that cycle.
Exactly. And teach.
Right.
And
Spread
teach.
the word.
That is why
Yes.
I started this show. That is why I insist on transparency,
Yeah.
because I realize that my life experiences, they're not just mine.
That's right.
I know that what I deal with, there are plenty of other women who identify with it. These things resonate with them, and they're like, I could never understand the point of being around a woman who has been through something and she's had the answer, and then she don't want to help
And
you
don't
out
say nothing.
and don't say nothing.
Yeah.
There's
You
so
know,
many
just watch you do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say us or women that I can look at them and tell, and I'm like, sister, you got you whatever you know is not, I'm sure is not new news.
Right.
Okay. And it's a privilege for you to pass that on
Exactly.
to another sister. Do you understand what comes back to you when you give?
Exactly.
I think we underestimate. What's for me is for me.
Exactly.
All right. So I share just about everything, if not all, that I know and that I have.
I promise you.
And it feels
I pour
great.
it out.
But you know what? And then
Pour
now
it
that
out.
I do, but the challenge is that I there's got to be balance even in that, right?
It
So
is.
back to self-care, because then we were, just discussing earlier, you do come across people who will see that about you. Oh, let me see what I can take.
Yeah.
I'm coming
Takers.
every time they come to your plate, they're taking something off your plate
And not
Yeah.
adding anything.
and they're never
back.
putting anything back in there. And then they, start to manifest negative energy when you set up boundaries and you're not willing
Yeah.
to allow them to take from your plate. And those are the types of relationships that are hard for me to navigate.
Right.
That's one of the reasons, one of the things I wanted to focus on this season really is about healing, healthy relationships. I mean, my God, I think we're tired, right? We
Right.
stress.
Exhausted.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, at least for me, to feel this way when it, like I think I said the same thing last week. You go out and then you deal with the relationships, people, friends,
Yeah.
and it's all the same thing. And I think that, I'm a big fan of creating safe space
right.
for my friend. Now, I can't create a safe space for you, and then you come into that space and judge me
and violate it. That's a clear violation.
Yeah. That's a violation.
Anything negative is a violation,
right?
And you don't have to go now, but you got to go right now.
Yeah.
Right, you got to right now, and it doesn't.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter how long we've been friends.
Right.
You know, we could have been friends for a very long time, but when I create that safe space for you,
Right.
and you know, because you can tell me that I don't judge you. I can tell you anything. Then, ma'am, you're not allowed to bring that in, or sir, you're not allowed to bring that into my space.
Right.
You know, so it does come. So there's things like being intentional.
Yes.
With what you want, going after what you want, setting boundaries.
Right.
Is another example.
Right.
Of being able to flesh out, right, get to that place of finding the happiness. What are some other things that could help you advance to finding that place of
being clear on
happiness?
you? No, like for so long, I know I've been told and shown what happiness or what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to feel like. Now is the time more than ever that I am taking power back over what it should look and feel like for me. Yeah. Because I can't do it the way that my mother did it.
Right.
All right. I can't do it the way that maybe my cousin or friend or who else. But being clear on you and what makes you happy, what that feels like to you. And you don't owe an explanation to anybody.
Right.
Again, and this is something I said last week, I'm responsible for what I say and for what I do. I'm not responsible for other people's feelings.
Right.
Especially when it comes to making sure or ensuring my own safety, health, and well-being.
Right.
Yep. So be clear on you.
And I think your voice matters.
Yeah.
Your voice matters. That's right.
Your
Absolutely.
voice matters. And it's okay that your voice matters. Sometimes we are so focused on not hurting people's feelings, you know, and
that was
your
a fear of
voice
mine.
has to matter.
Well, I think in it and you know, I know that, you know, lots of folks will probably say, oh, they just talk women stuff, but I think it's because women are conditioned to behave in a way that men are not.
Exactly.
So women are taught to always consider people's feelings first.
Exactly.
How wonderful would the world be
unladylike.
if men were taught to consider people's feelings?
Right.
There's a show, I watched a show last night with one of my favorite actresses, Sanaa Lathan, and it's called Nappily Ever After.
That was so good. I'm so glad you brought that up. Oh my God.
Yes.
It's good. You got to watch it.
It is.
I'm
It
gonna
is
watch
now,
it.
and
Yes.
she's always been one of my favorite actresses,
Yeah.
but she's just now made her way to the top 2.
Yeah.
All right, because she worked that role, but everything about, I'm not going to spoil it for people that are watching, but go watch it. Like, watch it, really hear what she's saying, really watch her process, and what she did was she had to have a breakdown to take her power back.
Right.
And a breakdown looks different from person to person,
Yep.
but she had it, she went through it, and she recovered and she reclaimed.
And she reclaimed it. And usually, I know it's always the funniest thing because she had all of these things going on, right? But it was this one little thing,
Right.
that brought it. And it's so weird how we do that, right? As women, we'll be juggling elephants. We'll be walking around with a lion, a tiger, an elephant on our shoulder and our back, and then you just let one nail break.
Yes.
And not only that, she had been groomed. Like you said, we've been conditioned. It's
Yes.
a cycle of conditioning
Yes.
by her mother about how we should act.
Yes.
Making
Yes.
somebody else happy
Yes.
instead of yourself first.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And it finally, the cookie will crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of it too, right? Because we have to learn we have all of these cycles are perpetuated by trusted sources.
Yeah.
And so for us as women, right, we learn how to be women from other women.
Exactly.
So and so I know for me it was a lot. Like I know my mom used to say to me all the time, why your arms are so big? Why you wear
Uncomfortable.
Right, because I'm comfortable.
Right.
And but lots of times I know it's because of what they were taught, right?
Right.
It's how
Right,
they
right.
were taught
It's a
to
cycle.
be.
It's a
It's a
cycle of
cycle.
conditioning.
So, but now what happens is in generation, and I even notice it with women in our generation dealing with millennials.
Yeah.
Right.
We try to enforce our ideals on other people,
Right.
because we think this is what it should be, this is what's appropriate, what's proper,
Right.
and in reality, we're just stifling people.
Yeah.
It's abnormal.
Yeah.
It's clearly abnormal.
Right.
And we talked about this early, but I'm very okay with having open dialogue with my daughter and my sons about sex, about sexuality,
Yes.
about masturbation, about pleasing yourself first before you even attempt to go please somebody else. Because
Right.
really, you teach people how to treat you and how to please you.
Yeah.
We're gonna, and that's a whole because y'all just said that's a whole show. When you talked about your voice being important, there's lots of women that don't get pleased during sex at all.
Right.
Because
That
they were
don't-
never taught.
They were never taught.
They were never
and
given
they
the
don't,
permission.
and they don't
It's
feel
okay.
and they don't
Yeah.
feel like they have a voice to be able to speak up. Lots of
Exactly.
times men don't listen. I know I've had somebody. It's happened more than once. Dating somebody. Well, I know what I'm doing. Well, you've never done it with
And my thing
me.
Who
is-
told you that? What qualifies that?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, this is me.
It's me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not. We're not pin-up dolls, right? We
Right.
don't blow up. We
Yeah.
all don't do the same thing.
Or the
You
last
stick your
woman.
tongue in my ear, I'm gut punching you. I'm a gut punch you. I'm gonna let you know that right now. Think, keep thinking that everything works for everybody.
Exactly.
Because when I was growing up, that's called a wet willy.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. My brothers used to, they'd stick their finger in their mouth and jam it. I'm like, don't do that. I'm gonna
Right.
kill you.
Right.
So it's about really being willing to see you.
Exactly.
And then also having that ability to have a voice. And I really am going to do a show on that because I think that
that's
It's
good.
necessary.
it's super important. Oh yeah,
It's
y'all want to
necessary.
see that?
Yeah.
Just let us know if you want to see a show on it. Just hit the love button. Hit the
Right.
love button because we're talking about toys and,
And we'll bring you a
self-pleasure.
show.
Yeah, we're
gonna
going to
bring you a
We need
show.
to talk about
Right.
self-pleasure. We need to talk about all of that, and it should not be a thing of shame
Right.
for women because it's like it's a rite of passage for a young boy
Absolutely.
to be masturbating,
Mhm.
Yeah.
to know, and then we see it as
Right.
moms, and
Right.
you gotta and you deal
Right.
with it. But for girls, it's always this hush hush thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
It's
we don't want
acceptable
that.
for males,
Yeah.
with my husband. I'm like,
Rite of passage.
I said it's all shits and giggles when you're
Right.
speaking to the, with your sons about it. But when it comes to our daughter,
It's
he
taboo.
he's crazy. I just don't want to. But you know what? Even you as a father, you set the doorway. You open the doorway and the map as far as what type of man she brings in her life.
Exactly.
Be okay with having these conversations. Not to say you have to have full details, because
Full
I understand
detail.
everybody has boundaries.
Right.
But have the dialogue.
Yeah.
Have the dialogue. Make her know that it's okay.
Right.
It's okay because eventually that's you
And you got to show it. You got to show her mother. You got to show her about how you treat her mother.
Exactly.
right.
And the other women in your life.
Right.
So you
right.
can't just talk it. You got to walk. You got to walk it too.
Yeah, you got
That's
to
true.
you got to do all of it. It is so super important, and I hope that we get that message across.
I think
Oh,
you can.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be doing that show pretty soon. So when we go and talk about self-care, so we've talked about caring for our psyche, our inner selves. Are there any other things that you can think of that were signs or symbols for you to kind of make this change and become more intentional about what you want out of your life, all your relationships and everything?
I know for me, my daughter came to me and expressed a concern for the level of disconnect that was happening. She came to me on week 2 of me being in the bed, of not, barely sleeping, having these crying episodes and really neglecting myself. And she came to me and she said, "Are you ever going to get out the bed?" She's like, "Are you okay?" She said, "I'm scared." That really registered with me. She said, "I'm scared." And in that moment, I realized, or I said to myself, "Keisha, your daughter is watching.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you are her mother. You are her
Yes.
teacher. She
Yes.
got to see you pull up out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's watching." Now for my husband and the boys, they just kind of shielded themselves,
Stayed away.
they stayed away.
Head down.
But she didn't. She was like, what's going on? I have something I need to talk to you about. And I wasn't even approachable.
Yeah.
That helped break broke a chain for me.
Made you present.
It made me present. It really registered. And I'm gonna tell you, it felt like a good kick in the ass.
Wow.
I'm gonna say that. And it just, it opened up another part of me that I had to come to grips with. And I wasn't comfortable. But I was able to do it because she came to me. That was another determining factor for me, was that, was when she came to me and we were able to have dialogue. And I had to, and it was important because I wanted her to not only, you want your kids to see you fall or maybe fail, but how you pick yourself back up.
Resilience. How old is she?
She's 19.
19.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the other things, because, this was a conversation I just saw posted in a group, and people were asking that question. Should you share your struggles
Absolutely.
with your kids?
Oh,
absolutely. Because I think
Most
what
definitely.
they resilience, right, is something that is so important. We all ought to expect there to be trouble at some point in life.
Absolutely.
But if we don't ever see it modeled for us, what bouncing back looks like.
And make sure it's let me say this. I definitely believe in sharing those experiences with our kids. But I like for people to, developmentally age appropriate, because sometimes I've been with, work with people and it's just like, wait a minute, this isn't appropriate for a 7-year-old.
Right.
But for my 19-year-old at that time, she's approaching very young adulthood.
Yeah.
It was a blessing in disguise, because it opened up brought us to another level in our relationship.
Yeah.
And I can talk to her about, hey, I'm getting ready to go see my life journey coach, my psychologist. Is there any feedback you want that I can take to her or whatnot? So I not only does she see it, but she's included in it as well.
Yeah, and it's helpful. And I think it can even open up some things for you. I know for me, we talked earlier, my son is 28. And at one point, I started, I can't even remember exactly what it was that made me consider it, but I started talking to him about some of the struggles I was having with dating. And sure enough, I started getting all of this really great insight from him, realizing that men in their 50s, he also realized, hey, I do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, you mean, so this just doesn't ever, and so it really added some kind of perspective for him also, for me to share those things, because he got to see, man,
it grows your relationship.
It grows your relationship
in a good way.
In a good way. Because for me, he's telling me lots of valid things. I was a single parent, but he taught me lots of valuable things about manhood. I was grateful that he learned without me, because I always wondered, how is he going to learn all of these things? And I'm just not into any of that. But he did. So for him to go through that process and then be able to give me feedback, that helped me gain some insight. That was like,
that's growth and development there in itself. That's progress. That's a great thing.
It is. It is. It's a really great thing. It's challenging at times.
I know.
Yes.
Like I said, because the conversations, the whole thing can get to be a little bit funky, a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
But but all in all, I will say that this whole experience, which even just led me to even cover this topic, has really brought me somewhere closer to myself.
Yeah.
It's brought me into a place of inner happiness. Finding that, really getting more comfortable with being me and coming into my own, not feeling like I have to meet someone else's expectations.
That's correct.
Because now I've sat down and said, yes,
and no is good enough.
Yeah.
No,
when I say know your no,
sentence.
so when people say know your why, know your no.
That's right.
And when I say no,
Period.
no, that's it. That's all. Like you said with the period.
Yeah.
And again, if they have an issue with your no, are we responsible for that?
Not at all. That's their issue.
No. No.
And you can keep it moving.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, one guy I talked to last year, fell off because he said some things that I didn't really like. Anyway, we got back in touch, and I gave him, he proposed something to me, and I gave him a no. And he didn't like that no. So much so that he hung up on me.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right, but I mean, but just to think that other people, it's amazing. You know, there was a time when that would have flustered me. It
Or
would
you
have
would have
upset.
called them back.
Right.
You know, something I would have wanted to cuss him out.
Or try
Right.
to make it right.
Yeah.
You know?
Or
You
change
know?
your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but you know, when you get to the place that you know that you're
You're
okay
good.
with your no,
You're good.
that
well,
Yeah.
you know
That you
what?
know?
Then
Right.
I'm so
No.
sorry, right? Because
Right. No.
you
Period.
and then I don't even get so angry because I'm like, wow, what kind of person are you that you got to be mad because I don't want to do something?
And whoever
Right.
that person is,
Yeah.
this is going to sound harsh and strong, but really, that's beneath me. And I deserve better than that.
Yeah.
You know, because here we go with people's feeling, you know, oh, you're not beneath. No. It's certain things that's no longer good enough. And it is now beneath me.
Right.
So
Yes.
I can't tolerate that. And now I think it's a great thing that he hung up the phone. So what now needs to happen is
I
he
dodged the
stays
bullet.
disconnected.
That-
Yeah.
Look, he couldn't call me if he wanted to. I'm telling you, when I
Yeah.
block somebody, I block you so that I got it on you mail so that you call me and you'll hear doo 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 the number
Yeah.
you have dialed.
Stay gone. Stay gone.
Stay gone.
Yeah, and if it's meant to be, you'll emerge again.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm sure it ain't
Right.
it ain't even meant to be, but I'm prepared for that because I'm understanding this. We're going into Venus retrograde.
That's right.
And so there's some
right.
things that's gonna come back.
It's gonna get it's gonna
And
get
I'm
a little bumpy there for a
I'm
minute.
ready. I got I'm ready.
That's right.
I'm ready. So
That's half the battle is just being ready.
Exactly.
Yeah,
being
be ready.
ready.
Be conscious and then be ready.
Yeah.
And that's it. I like how you said that. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'll bring it on. I'm
Right.
like, because I feel
Yeah,
like,
be
hey,
ready.
life been throwing all these punches at me. And, the way I look at it is this. Why should I sit here and suffer and be sad because other people and settle? Right.
You shouldn't.
When I could just do me.
Right.
And then, but see, the challenge is, like I said, a lot of that is that I think a lot of us don't do us because we haven't been intentional.
Yeah.
We don't
About
do us
discovering
enough.
what we want. We
Right.
don't
Right.
know our inner
Right.
voice.
Right.
We don't know we're not connected to
Self-care.
our feelings.
Second guessing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm glad you didn't second guess him.
No.
Bye bye.
Yeah, I'm learning that, and like I said, it was great for me because it was the first reconnection since I had started seeing a life coach. And this time, previously I would have walked away like, oh my God, I'm so heartbroken. Last year I
Right.
walked away so heartbroken.
Right.
But
But compared to that now, tell me, is that such a
I feel
great
like
feeling?
I dodged a bullet.
Okay, you
I-
can no longer submit to
Right.
mediocre.
I feel like I'm that chick that got shot in the head, but the bullet got stuck in my weave.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And because you've done that,
You
when
did the
he
work.
comes, the right one comes, you'll be ready to build.
Be
together.
ready
You
again.
know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
you're ready. You
Yeah.
got you together.
Right.
You're good.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's
okay.
a journey. I'm
It's a
almost
journey.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a journey.
I'm almost there. Well, listen, ladies, I am so glad every week we have these conversations, and I
Good
just think it's just
conversation.
good. It's just get better, and I can't wait till we have the sex and toys because,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, I'm tired. I've had some dating experiences that don't wore me out. I'm tired. So I'm gonna give it a break, and I'm gonna find me a Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna get a couple of Bobs. I'm gonna have Bob. I'm gonna have Harry.
And
It's
when
gonna
you get
be
you a Bob, you get you some bullets too.
Yeah,
Not the
Bob
bullets
and
you put in the
bullet.
gun, but some other bullets. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I know there's probably some guy out there saying right now, but that don't substitute for a man. No, it doesn't. But what it does replace is that bullshit they be on. It replaces all that bullshit y'all be on. It don't
And nobody said it's trying to replace a man. So
Right.
bring your
Right.
ego out. It's
Right.
not trying to replace
It's
you. But again, it
not.
goes back to
Right.
self gratification.
Exactly.
You know,
That's right.
and
Making
yeah,
yourself feel good.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
But like you
And-
said, it does replace the bullshit.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can use all that without that.
Gotcha.
I told y'all, oh yeah, because I put that on Facebook. Somebody tried to offer me they dick with a side of Jesus.
Ah, come on now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's how when we get those friend requests and it's just like,
how you gonna put them two together? But how do you get into a place? That's what I'm saying.
Because you a sick motherfucker.
Right, how do you put those two together? They just don't go together.
Yeah.
And then, that's the point where you got to shut that down.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I ain't. I'm not
batteries
nice.
come in real handy.
Yeah. But you just, I'm hoping that more men will listen and will watch this and see this.
Yeah.
Know that is a no-no.
Exactly.
You contradict yourself. That is a huge turnoff. And that may have worked for a certain type of woman, but if this is what you want, that's never going to want. That's never going to happen. It's never going to work. Mm-hmm. So, and again, I think I said before, most men are creature of habits.
Right.
Yes.
All right. And if you want better, you do better.
Exactly.
You have to do better.
And that's it's almost insidious to me. It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you got the Bible in one hand and then you got your dick out in the other hand.
Yes, and I mean,
and we just met. We just
go
met.
hand in hand. How do I trust you?
Right.
How do I trust you? Now, how do I trust your word as a man when you're using something spiritual in that regard, to advance,
to manipulate
right?
you.
So that's why, and so it's not against a shield, but it's about just creating that space. I mean, we all have needs, right?
Right.
But I mean, in the in between time until that right guy comes along,
right?
I hate to say this, I really do, because I was always a proponent of when I'm ready for casual sex, I'm like casual sex.
Yeah.
But I guess that it serves you for a particular period of time in your life,
right?
And for this time in my life, it just does not serve me
exactly.
So I am so looking forward to this show. I can't wait.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Because hey, I'm not old, but I can still learn new tricks. So I'm ready to learn a bunch of things and understand.
Learning is a lifelong journey.
It's a lifelong
especially
journey.
With sex.
That's right. That's right. And now that we old, I mean, there's all kind of things. So I really want to find out about it. So are we going to do that next week?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And submit questions. Any questions ahead of time?
Submit questions. We're talking about self-pleasuring.
Yes.
We're talking about everything.
All of it.
Everything.
All of it. Yes.
Everything.
Self-pleasuring, him pleasuring, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. We got Lord. We're gonna do it. So yes, questions. Submit your questions right on our page, official DFD. Type it in there. Inbox us. Whatever it is, we want to hear it. We'll address it. If you pick it up from us, we'll address it on the air next week. Until then, we will see you. Dynamics of Dialogue. Every week, every Sunday, 3 p.m. I want you to come get some.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.